Hi, everybody. So, today we are going to continue our discussion about corpus analysis. Basically, what we are going to do about analysis is that after you learn how to use, for example, the English corpus like British National Corpus or COCA, you are going to learn how to do that. What happened with that? Okay, so basically, there are four things that we are going to learn today about the corpus notation and processing and the procedure in corpus analysis. Okay, in corpus annotation and processing, after you input the data that you are looking for on the English corpora, your proposed uh, English corpora, for example, like BNC or COCA or other types of it, you are going to choose which one is the proper way to do the annotation and processing. We have the lemmatizations, we have word class tagging, semantic aspect of tagging, and parsing. They have different function. And after you try to annotate and process the data using one of the type that we have, you may discuss later on with corpus analysis. It can be word list, it can be like concordance, and it can be like statistical corpus analysis. So we are going to start with the corpus annotation and processing. The first type is lemmatizations. As I highlight on the slide, lemmatization is a process of classifying together all the identical or related forms of a word under a common head word. It means that it is important for you to know those identical or related forms and then identify the head word. So there are two types to do that. The first process, if we have regularity. So, for example, we have the word go, wine, con, coin, goes. It's going to be, I believe, it's going to be easy for you to identify the head word, which is go, go. And then, for example, we have the word like better and best. Still easy, good. Broke and broken, break. Okay. So if we deal with the first process, deals with the irregularity, is going to be easy for you to identify the head word because they belong to a single entry. Okay, we have another type. If, for example, affix stripping, we have the word, for example, like teacher, and then the head word will be teach, or the govern. So we have the word like the head word will be governed. But the second type of lemmatization is criticized by Sinclair by saying that it can be useful process for a certain purpose only. But as we have seen, it's neither uncomplicated nor always appropriate. So I'm going to underline it can be useful, but not always appropriate because sometimes it deals with important differences. So, for example, if we have the head, like if we use the lemmatization concepts by only using a single word without having like affix, for example, like the word teacher, and then we use like teach for our lemmatization process, we are going to knowing which one is the real importance in this case. What if, for example, the actor here is not the teaching aspect, but it deals with the person who teach? Okay, so you get what I mean? If it deals with the first process, dealing with the irregularity, lemmatization still go there, it's still on the way, on the right track. But if, for example, lematizations, and then once you have a text and then you are looking for the head of that words, and then after that try to identify clearly, unfortunately, if we use the lemmatization process, we are not going to be identify the importance of it, the head, the exact head of it. So Sinclair claim it is not appropriate. Okay, that's why probably it deals. How to answer that one is that probably we are going to deal with the two types, or two things, what's called as tokens and type. If, for example, you are classifying using the first process irregularity and then go when blah blah blah, you are only go with the first with the hard work, you are going to go with the. So, for example, we have the example here, two sentences. Words can show differences in use in different contexts. In one context, a word like a bank could refer to the side of river, while in another, a bank could be something you do with your money. So if we try to do the lemmatization with a single process, irregularity, and make them into one classifications, we are going to see that we only have like 26 types. Okay, but it's probably in this context, it's not going to be like very difficult to identify the head. But what if, for example, mostly none, but what if, for example, the word like differences versus different, they emphasize different thing, I believe. So according to Sinclair, it will be better if we try to use like the token. We consider token as well. It means that we are going to differentiate between the word differences and different in this context, because differences in this context has a very strong argument compared to different context, because different context different explain the word's context. So as you can see, they are different. So types is important, but token will give you a precise and detailed informations. Okay, and the second type of word corpus annotations and corpus processing is word class tagging. So what we are going to discuss about tagging is that it gives a special mark to significant features. Okay, and when we call about like word class tagging, we call it as a take it program. As you can see, English corpora, they have like several types, for example, and then some, and with the word class taking, they have different taking system. Okay, so here just go to the example. For example, like brown corpus, they have this kind of taking, as you can see. Okay, they have different codes. For example, like if we are going to have the sentence like were, sorry, a word were, instead of saying were to be and so forth, they use like be as d. D means past tense, right? And then was means that it was a form of to be. And then we have like past tense d, and z means the voice sounds over there. And another type of taking here for the brown corpus. How about BNC? BNC have this kind of code like FU4 and other types. So you look for by yourself later on what kind of taking they use. For example, for the word like word, or another type of glow, we have this kind of, see, they have different codes for that. Or another, for example, like consider likelihood automatic word taking, we have another annotation in which that it involves like numeric system as well. And the third type of corpus annotations and processing is that semantic aspect of taking. When we talk about semantic aspect of taking, we talk about like the purpose, which corpus is intended. So lexicographer try to look for the detailed informations, not as a single word, but usually it deals with the meaning of it. Because we talk about semantic aspect of tagging, we talk about, sorry for typing, mistype. Um, it deals with possible meaning of a word. The classification is goes beyond that. The classification that we are going to have is more detailed. So, for example, if we have the semantic tagging, you try to differentiate with the word once. When we talk about like tagging, usual tagging in lemmatization, you are going to count like one. Once